Welcome to the Synastry reading of Taehyung and Jungkook. In this reading, we will look deeper into their friendship and interaction through the lens of astrology. The inner wheel here is Jungkook's natal chart, while the outer wheel shows Taehyung's chart overlaid onto Jungkook's chart. Both Taehyung and Jungkook are grounded by a strong presence of earth energy in their natal charts. Taehyung carries a Capricorn Sun, Mercury, and Mars, while Jungkook holds a Virgo Sun, Moon, and Mercury. The shared earth signature reveals a mutual focus on practical matters, a physical presence in reality, long-term goals, and respect for hard work, routine, and mastery over time. Earth signs value substance over flash, and both Capricorn and Virgo understand that success isn't handed to you, it's built brick by brick. They both strive to create something meaningful, approaching life with discipline, intention, and pursuit of personal actualization. Taehyung's Sun at 7 degrees Capricorn forms tight trines to Jungkook's Sun and Mercury at 8 and 7 degrees of Virgo. These harmonious aspects suggest an innate understanding between them, as if they operate within the same energetic language. Their core identities, thinking, and communication styles align, allowing them to collaborate and support each other with little friction. This harmony extends emotionally as well. Taehyung's Sun forms a flowing trine to Jungkook's Moon, creating an emotional resonance between who Taehyung is, represented by his Sun, and how Jungkook feels, represented by Jungkook's Moon. In many ways, Taehyung takes on a guiding or expressive role in the relationship, while Jungkook, more emotionally receptive, adapts and responds to Taehyung with trust and openness. Jungkook feels safe being himself around Taehyung, and he naturally supports Taehyung, understanding his core motivations and instinctively knowing how to respond in ways that affirm Taehyung's identity. One of the most striking connections in their synastry is Taehyung's Sun conjunct Jungkook's ascendant, showing a powerful sense of recognition and affirmation. Taehyung's presence lights up Jungkook's outer personality, almost like he helps Jungkook see and express himself more clearly. Taehyung validates Jungkook's identity and encourages him to step confidently into his Capricorn rising traits: poise, ambition, personal authority, and the desire to make a lasting impact. It's as if Taehyung naturally reflects back Jungkook's highest potential, inspiring him to embody his most grounded and self-assured self. Notably, all of Taehyung's planets, including his Sun, Mars, Mercury, and Venus, fall in Jungkook's first house, the house of identity, self-presentation, and instinctive approach to life. This creates a highly activating and energizing influence. Taehyung doesn't just see Jungkook, he sparks him into motion. His presence fuels Jungkook's motivation, influencing how he identifies with himself, asserts himself, and interacts with the world. Taehyung's Mars brings drive and momentum, possibly pushing Jungkook to take bolder steps or pursue his ambitions with more fire. Mercury suggests Taehyung impacts the way Jungkook thinks and expresses himself, perhaps encouraging more structure or clarity in the way he communicates. Venus brings charm, creativity, and an appreciation for beauty, suggesting that Jungkook may feel more attractive, inspired, or expressive in Taehyung's presence. Taehyung might naturally draw out Jungkook's desire to present himself in a more aesthetically refined or appealing way, simply by being someone who he wants to impress or mirror. Altogether, Taehyung's Capricorn energy may act as both mirror and catalyst, uplifting Jungkook's self-image while also setting a tone of high standards, discipline, and shared ambition in how they move through their careers together. On the other hand, there's a profound, almost instinctive respect Taehyung feels toward Jungkook, reflected in Taehyung's Moon conjunct Jungkook's Saturn. This aspect suggests that Taehyung perceives Jungkook as someone reliable, steady, and emotionally composed, someone who carries a natural sense of authority. Jungkook's sense of discipline, self-control, and commitment to his responsibilities leaves an impression on Taehyung, who may feel that Jungkook is, in some ways, wiser or more emotionally mature. However, Saturn's influence is never light, especially when it comes into contact with the Moon. Taehyung may also experience Jungkook as emotionally distant, overly serious, or even cold and impersonal at times. There can be an unspoken pressure in their dynamic, where Taehyung feels the weight of Jungkook's expectations. He might worry about being too spontaneous, moody, or vulnerable in Jungkook's presence, fearing that he'll be met with disapproval or disappointment rather than understanding. controlling. Jungkook's Saturn in Aries can struggle with expressing authority constructively and may default to asserting control or setting rigid standards without fully considering emotional nuances. Taehyung, in turn, might feel that Jungkook is trying to lay down the law, dictating how things should be done or criticizing perceived emotional inconsistencies. This can lead to tension, with Taehyung distancing himself, failing her, or even rebelling in subtle or passive ways. He might internalize the belief that he must hold it together at all times around Jungkook, which over time could become emotionally exhausting or lead to resentment. For their bond to flourish, Jungkook may need to soften his Saturnian tendencies, showing more emotional generosity and learning to hold space for Taehyung's vulnerability without trying to fix, control, or critique it. At the same time, Taehyung may benefit from recognizing that some of Jungkook's seriousness stems not from lack of care, but from his own inner pressure to be responsible and do things the right way. With patience and compassion, this aspect can be a source of deep emotional trust, where Jungkook offers structure and loyalty, and Taehyung offers emotional sensitivity and warmth. Taehyung's Mercury is conjunct Jungkook's Neptune, suggesting that the way Taehyung perceives and communicates with Jungkook is filtered through a Neptunian lens, one of imagination, confusion, or illusion. This aspect creates a deeply intuitive mental connection, where Taehyung might feel as though he instinctively gets Jungkook, even without words. However, it can also blur the lines between reality and projection. Taehyung may not always see or understand Jungkook clearly or objectively. Instead, he may be prone to projecting, attributing qualities to Jungkook that are more about what he hopes or fears rather than who Jungkook truly is. Jungkook's words or behavior may take on symbolic or idealistic meaning in Taehyung's mind, even when that wasn't Jungkook's intention. This can lead to misunderstandings or overinterpretations. Taehyung may hear only the best or worst versions of what Jungkook says, filtering it through emotional sentiment rather than logical analysis. While this can make their dynamic emotionally confusing at times, it can also enhance creativity and compassion. Taehyung might feel that Jungkook inspires his thinking or that his thoughts are more fluid and imaginative around him. However, because Neptune can dissolve boundaries, it's important for Taehyung to remain conscious of grounding his perception and engaging in open dialogue, ensuring that his intuition is balanced with reality. One of the most compelling indicators of their soul connection is the conjunction between Taehyung's North Node and Jungkook's Midheaven. Midheaven, or the MC, is the point associated with career, public image, and one's highest calling. This alignment suggests a powerful soul contract centered around shared purpose and public contribution. Taehyung's destiny, represented by his North Node, is tied to Jungkook's path to worldly recognition. In many ways, Taehyung may feel drawn to support or walk alongside Jungkook's rise to success, as if part of his own spiritual growth is intertwined with Jungkook's professional journey. Together, they may help each other fulfill life paths that are not only personally significant, but publicly impactful. Additionally, Taehyung's moon is conjunct with Jungkook's IC, or the 4th house cusp. The 4th house represents home, family, roots, and emotional foundation, and the moon here points to a deep emotional familiarity. This connection often feels like coming home. There is a quiet, unspoken recognition, as if their souls have known each other before. Jungkook may feel emotionally safe with Taehyung, while Taehyung intuitively understands Jungkook's inner world. Their bond goes beyond surface-level friendship, tapping into a nurturing and protective dynamic that feels ancestral or familiar. This sense of soul familiarity is powerfully reinforced by each of their Saturns conjunct the other's South Node, a classic karmic indicator pointing to a shared past life connection. Saturn represents responsibility, commitment, and lessons learned through time, while the South Node reflects where we've been, the energies and relationships we've already experienced. This double Saturn-South Node linkage suggests a powerful soul contract between them, one that carries unfinished unfinished business, mutual obligations, or a spiritual debt that they have agreed to work through in this lifetime. It suggests a bond rooted in duty or a serious shared purpose from a previous incarnation. Adding another layer to this karmic tapestry, Jungkook's Saturn falls in Taehyung's first house, the house of Taehyung's personal journey, presence, and self-expression. This placement speaks to the serious and personal nature of their bond, as well as the impact Jungkook may have on Taehyung's sense of self. Jungkook might encourage Taehyung to embody greater discipline, maturity, or self-awareness in how he presents himself to the world. In some ways, Jungkook could represent a stabilizing force, offering structure or setting the pace, while Taehyung follows with creative expression and emotional depth. There may be a subtle yet persistent sense of responsibility toward one another. Even without needing to define it, they likely feel their bond carries weight, a kind of gravitational pull that implies something greater than coincidence. At the heart of it all lies an unspoken understanding, the quiet knowing that they've been through this before. Whether as work partners, brothers, or creative collaborators, they seem to be walking a familiar path once more, drawn together by unfinished business and shared lessons that continue to bind them in this lifetime. Now let's reverse the charts to explore how Jungkook's planets influence Taehyung's natal landscape. In this view, Taehyung's chart forms the inner wheel, while Jungkook's planetary placements appear in the outer wheel, showing where they fall across Taehyung's houses and activate key areas of his life. Jungkook's ascendant falls on Taehyung's midheaven or MC, a powerful synastry connection that highlights their aligned destinies. Particularly in the public sphere, there's a sense that Jungkook plays a significant role in shaping or influencing how Taehyung is perceived by the world. He may serve as a grounding force or even a source of inspiration, helping Taehyung clarify his goals and embody his ambitions with greater confidence. This synergy is purpose-driven, with a shared trajectory that fuels both their growth in the spotlight. Meanwhile, Jungkook's Sun, Moon, and Mercury all fall in Taehyung's sixth house, the house of daily routines, service, and work. This adds a layer of practicality and devotion to their dynamic. Jungkook likely contributes to the rhyme of Taehyung's everyday life in meaningful ways, whether it's helping him stay organized, being emotionally attuned to his needs, or engaging in thoughtful conversations that support his mental well-being. Jungkook's presence is woven into Taehyung's daily reality. The sixth house is also associated with acts of service, and this placement suggests that Jungkook expresses affection through tangible care, doing small things that makes Taehyung's life easier or run more smoothly. From remembering his preferences to offering quiet support during stressful times, these gestures may be Jungkook's natural way of saying "I care." Another significant placement is Jungkook's Venus falling in Taehyung's seventh house, the house of one-on-one partnerships, encompassing everything from close friendships to collaborations. When someone's Venus lands in another person's seventh house, it often creates a strong sense of attraction and harmony. Taehyung is likely to see Jungkook as someone who naturally complements him, someone who balances him, brings pleasure and emotional richness into his life. There's a sense of ease and enjoyment in Jungkook's presence, particularly in Jungkook's more receptive, gentle, or affectionate expressions, represented by his Libra Venus qualities. However, the harmony suggested by this Venus placement is complicated by some tension-inducing aspects. Taehyung's Mars squares Jungkook's Venus, and Jungkook's Mars squares Taehyung's Venus. This creates what's known as a double Venus-Mars square, a configuration that often shows strong mutual attraction, but equally strong friction. The way each person expresses drive, desire, and asserts themselves clash with the other's preference of relating and forming emotional bonds. Taehyung might find Jungkook's energy mysterious, emotionally intense, or indirect, perhaps sensing that Jungkook doesn't always show his cards or reveals affection on his own terms. Conversely, Jungkook may view Taehyung as unpredictable, overly calculated, or hard to pin down, someone whose actions don't always follow a clear logic. This dynamic can create a push-pull effect, where one seeks closeness while the other appears evasive or reactive. These aspects can lead to moments of frustration or misunderstanding, especially when it comes to how love and care is expressed versus how it's received. Their natural rhythms in giving and receiving don't always align, which can result in feelings of emotional dissonance despite genuine care. Yet, it's worth mentioning that this mutual friction can also generate a compelling sense of attraction, one charged with tension and excitement. If these contacts between Venus and Mars were present in a romantic connection, these aspects would be highly stimulating, sparking intense chemistry and a strong physical attraction. As a result, there may be moments of ambiguity, where neither is entirely sure whether the tension between them is rooted in conflict, attraction, or something in between. Adding a last notable layer to their synastry, Taehyung's Capricorn, Mars, Neptune, and Uranus all forms squares to Jungkook's midheaven. This suggests that over time, Taehyung may inadvertently create disruptions or complications in Jungkook's professional life. Whether due to differing goals, conflicting values, or moments of unpredictability, Taehyung's actions or decisions may at times challenge Jungkook's ability to maintain a steady or clearly defined career direction. At its highest expression, this tension could serve as a catalyst for Jungkook's growth, prompting him to clarify his path, strengthen his autonomy, and resist external influences. But at its most destabilizing, it could spark professional tension or lead to public missteps. It's likely part of their powerful karmic undercurrent, suggesting their dynamic isn't random but purposeful. Whatever unfolds between them, it likely echoes a story written in the stars long ago. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.